Good evening! Are you ready for some more testing? I will quickly switch on the video light and then we can get started. But first I need to switch lenses, because I'm going to test some prime focus lenses tonight instead of this zoom lens. So I just switched to my 45mm Olympus prime focus lens, and at the moment we're shooting f4 at 1600 ISO. Tonight I'm planning to test these lenses. I got a 14mm Panasonic, a 30mm Sigma, a 60mm Sigma, and an old Olympus photography lens that I showed last summer in one of my videos, and I still want to try it a bit. I also want to do some more white balance testing. I found some grey pieces of paper, A4. I cut them in half and now they're basically A5. They should reflect less light than that white paper, and hopefully they will be just as successful. But to be sure, I will also compare the result with a piece of cardboard and my white paper. Alright, it's winter time already. It's dark early, 6 o'clock. It should be nice and quiet, although it is a bit windy, and there might be an occasional plane flying over because the barn is directly under a plane route or a fly route, fly highway, not sure how to call that. And those fly boys haven't gone into lockdown yet. I almost wish they would stop flying, because it was nice and quiet earlier this year, and those planes can be rather noisy, especially when there isn't any wind. Although we're in luck there, because the wind is blowing hard, relative hard, and it will probably keep doing that for most of the winter. Man, I wish it was summer again. Alright, I got my beer, and I found some Hertog Jan beer underneath the stairway in the cellar, and it looks pretty old. I think the cap is already starting to rust. There's also a label missing. But let's open it up and see how this tastes. It's probably going to be funky. Oh, and don't worry about the rifle in the back here. It's just a pellet gun. Oh, it's already primed. Basically it shoots WD-40. I hope you could see that. It's a bit rusty, and the slide to unlock the pumping mechanism was stuck. But it's working again. So now let's open up this bottle of beer. Got it. I'm going to taste it. Maybe not as awful as that Gulpener beer from the other day. And here's the cap. Already rusting a bit. Maybe I can find a date on here. May 15. Yep, I'm brave. I've decided to start my testing with this 14mm Panasonic lens, and that has the same field of view as this zoom lens at its widest angle. Not something I use a whole lot, but sometimes. I think I will start out at the blue carrier lathe, because then I don't need to drag my video light into the other room. And also I will do some white balance testing with these grey cards, or maybe they're a little bit blue. They are to my eyes. But I will also use this piece of cardboard and a piece of white paper as a reference to check the color temperature. Alright, I will quickly switch lenses and then I will set up at the blue cargo lathe. Just a moment. Welcome back at the blue cargo lathe, and as you can see I brought my beer. It might make talking a bit easier, just like that Rajesh guy from The Big Bang Theory. It definitely is a bit funky now that it is 5 years over date. But I'm sure it won't kill me. If it does, there won't be any more videos. It's as simple as that. Now let's first do a manual white balance picture. And the last time I did this, the scene was too white, too bright. Let's see if that is still the case. Unable to proceed. Scene is too bright. So now let's try that grey paper. That worked. And the cardboard, that worked as well. Although this looks a bit blue on the screen. Well, I changed the white balance, and currently it is set using this grey card. And on the camera screen it looks fine. I did try the white paper, but the scene was too bright, so that didn't work. It also worked fine using this piece of cardboard, although the scene looked a bit bluish, a bit too cold. Just before this, the camera was set to automatic white balance, and that looked good as well. And there's also nothing wrong with this, at least not on this tiny screen. So this was the 14mm Panasonic lens, and now I'm going to install the 30mm Sigma lens and try to create a similar field of view, meaning I need to move the tripod back. I'll be right back after I switch the lens. So I switched the lens. Now let's move the tripod and create a similar field of view. Focus. And there's the, maybe a little bit closer, but there's most of the top slide, just like before. The white balance was still set manual with that grey card with the previous lens. So now I'm going to repeat shooting a white balance picture, or WB picture, if you don't like the word white balance. Because I might be saying that a few more times. But first a sip of beer, otherwise this will not get emptied tonight. I'm not planning to be here the whole evening. This is the white balance I get when using this piece of cardboard. And to be honest, it looks a bit cold, too blue. It might be a blue lathe, but it's definitely not right. Let me switch to automatic white balance so you can see the difference. It looks better, maybe a little too warm, but it's hard to judge on this screen. Alright, next I will set the white balance manually again using my grey piece of paper. And this is the white balance after using that grey piece of paper. It still looks a bit warm to me. This is my white paper. And of course I should be waving at the camera. And drinking beer, of course. Very old beer, almost prehistoric. There's a few more of these old bottles laying in the corner in the cellar. If I'm a real man, I should empty all of them. So next I'm going to switch to the 60mm Sigma lens. So this is the field of view I can get with the 60mm Sigma lens. And I cannot move the tripod further away from the top slide, because it is backed up against my plastic car. The white balance setting is still the same, but I'm going to reshoot that now. This, by the way, is a very good lens for headshots or portraits, if that is your thing. Personally, I couldn't care less. The 45mm Olympus that I also have is also very decent. This is automatic white balance, and on screen it looks better. The other setting might have been too warm. This is what I get with this piece of cardboard, and now I'm going to use and this is what it looks like. Too warm, if you ask me, because the background, a white wall, is not really white compared with this piece of white paper. Of course the wall isn't as bright as this paper, because there are some oil stains on there that came flying off the lathe. And we're back to automatic. To me this looks better on the camera screen. I'm starting to doubt that it is worth the effort to manually set the white balance every time, because the chances of screwing things up are there. But I've already decided to use manual white balance in my next epically boring butthole reshoot video. Okay, I think we're done here. Can you hear that plane flying overhead? Because I can definitely hear it. I don't think the microphone picks that up, but it is one of those things that is annoying me. It's getting louder. Can you hear it? Or can I hear it on the recording? No idea. We will see. Okay, a sip of my beer and then I will move the setup to the other room. Do some shooting at the Vice, because that was probably the most challenging lighting location. Okay, welcome back at the Vice, and this is still the 60mm Sigma lens and automatic white balance, f4 800 ISO, yada yada yada. Currently the camera is about a meter away from what you're seeing, and that is a relative safe distance if you're grinding or welding. Alright, let's set the white balance using my gray card, and this is the balance I get with the gray card. Looks very similar, certainly not a spectacular improvement. Here's the piece of carton and a real white paper with some oil stains. For my own amusement, I'm going to shoot a white balance picture with this white paper, see if the scene is too bright again. That actually worked this time, but there is one light less. I'll switch that on as well. Again, it's for my amusement. And this time, with that extra light, the scene was too bright. And no problem with the grey card. So at least that is one thing I learned tonight. Where's my beer? Alright, now I'm going to switch to the 30mm Sigma lens. So this is the field of view with the 30mm Sigma lens placed at about 40-50 centimeters away from the vise. The white balance is set to automatic. So when I wave my hand in front of the lens, it almost looks like the background is getting a greenish tint. And this is what I get after using this grey card. A little bit of white as reference. And I don't detect a greenish tint, at least not on this little screen. Let's shooting a picture of this white paper as well, see if that works. Well, the scene was too bright for this white paper, but I've set the white balance back to automatic, and now I'm going to switch lenses. By the way, I'm shooting these lens changes with my 25mm Olympus lens and the digital cropping function. And currently the white balance is set to automatic, and I will now shoot a picture of the grey card, because I think the underlayment in the back there is causing some white balance issues. And this is what the background looks like after shooting a white balance picture. Might be better, but I'm not sure. Let's switch the lenses. And this is as close as I can get to the top of the vise using the 14mm Panasonic fixed focus lens. I would say that is maybe 15 centimeters away from that block of steel. Definitely a bit close if you want to do welding or grinding. The white balance is currently set to automatic. Or I think it is set to automatic, but I will check. If not, I will reshoot the scene. Yeah, I see the background tint changing. It must be set to automatic. Alright, I will shoot a picture now. And this is the white balance after shooting a picture of this grey card. And a little bit of white for your reference. And now skin tones. I don't see a tint change in the background. Looks like the battery is almost empty, but I'm almost done with testing. Haven't finished the beer yet, but I can always throw that out and claim that I have finished it. Well, I was going to wrap this up because the battery is almost empty and it is starting to rain, and well, the temperature isn't that great in here. But I just realized that I haven't shot any scene with this old photography lens. So I guess I will do that now. And I'm going to do that at the Blue Kerkerleef, because I've already dragged my video light into the old barn again. And this is the picture with the old analog Olympus lens. This is at f4 and this is f1.8, f8 and f16, the smallest it can go, Well, I'm setting it back to f4, and of course I'm using manual focus, and I'm focusing on the label of the beer bottle, and of course I'm using focus peaking. The white balance is currently set automatically, so now I'm going to get my gray card and set the white balance manually. And this is after shooting a white balance picture. Still looks good, although I'm currently not using my video light, and to make this test complete I will also move that in. Here comes the video light! So that is pretty much at the same location as before. Now currently we are shooting ISO 800, and I guess we can lower that, because according to the light meter it is overexposed. And now we're at ISO 400. It is still a little bit overexposed, but it probably is very nice. White balance is also good. And just for fun, before the battery runs out, I'm going to shoot a picture of this cardboard. So with a different lens and this cardboard, the white balance is blue again. That pretty much sucks. And this is automatic white balance again. And I must say it looks good. I'm starting to really wonder if it is worth the effort to manually set the white balance. Alright, that was my last sip of the beer. Time to stop this test and start editing. And hopefully this time I won't run into weird computer problems again. Because editing the previous test, all of the footage that I placed on track 2 and 3 in the editor, they were just gone after exporting the project. I had to reinstall the same version, and that's the latest version of the NVIDIA drivers, and that fixed that problem. I seem to be running into the weirdest problems with editing software, and that is costing me more time than I like. But I hope that at some point all of my issues will be gone and production time gets lower, or I get more efficient. I don't know, we'll see. That's it for me. I'll see you next time in another testing video. Or maybe I will shoot a picture of that air rifle I just got. Because I got some questions and it's more fun to just ask them on YouTube than start trolling through forums.